It is All Things Nerd, Season 3, Episode 7, live on Twitch, twitch.tv/MaliceCorp, every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On tonight's show, we are going to be talking about the nerd fight that is currently going on. We have our debates and our rebuttals going on for that. Along with that, we are going to be talking about the new Creepshow television show that's coming out, some of the details that have come with that. We are going to say goodbye to a dear friend that got lost on Mars. And the last thing we're going to talk about is going to be the Nintendo Direct and the games that they presented to us and the things that they didn't bring to it for us. If you're listening to this later on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, or on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and drop a review and let us know how the show goes. Hello to all the geek enthusiasts and nerd aficionados. Mess 5150 here with another All Things Nerd podcast, Season 3, Episode 6. We are back. We are here to talk all things nerd with you, or a couple things nerd, because we can't talk everything, because then that would be a lot longer than an hour show. But you have me, your host, Mess 5150, as always, here talking on the mic. Along with me on the cast, we have three fellow amigos. First and foremost, we have the Big Papa Matt on. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. Can always be better, but hey, it's raining in SoCal, so not much better.
I had somebody come in that just moved here to SoCal and goes, so how long is the rainy season out here? And we're like, this is really long. Anything more than 3 days is just far too long generally.
Yeah, we're losing our minds thinking it's going to flood everywhere now. Everybody's buying sandbags and prepping for the worst.
Yeah, I think we've gotten an inch of rain and we're freaking out.
Maybe here maybe, but go check out Palm Springs, dude. Have you seen the roads in Palm Springs? They're completely flooded. Idlewild has had roads wash away. They're like literally an island right now. They have no way in or out because roads have had hot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, what is going on?
That's because Palm Springs doesn't build any type of water flow, and everybody's just retired up there, so they don't go out anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You just heard her talking. Super Hoovian Freak is on the cast. How are you?
Oh, not bad. Not too bad. It's been a week, and it's over, and I'm glad.
I think Jack is saying that Palm Springs is a giant sandcastle because he says it's built on sand. Or it's just a giant sand trap, because there are a lot of golf courses out there.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you guys are making me really glad I'm over here up in the Midwest.
I'll take my wearing a blanket this time.
Not this time.
We have Marley Ba on the cast. How are you?
I'm still allergic to mornings, so I'm prepared for tomorrow morning.
So for those listening on the audio cast, she's referring to the shirt she's wearing that says allergic to mornings, but
yes,
she wants to make sure everybody knows.
Everybody needs to know this, because you know what? I also have plans for tomorrow morning, and those plans involve the other half of the bottle of champagne from dinner last night. Oh. So, yeah, mimosas.
Yeah, so I was going to say a little bit of mimosa going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in the chat room right now, we have our producer, Jack Malice, talking with all the fine folks out there. Red Meepaw's in the chat room. And the other half of the Big Papa Matt, not meaning his actual other half, just his other personality, Sonamaku's in the chat room as well. So you guys can talk with those people.
Yeah, talk with my other half.
Not really your the other half of your brain, the voice in your head.
The other half of the beard.
Hey, son of Maku, how are you?
You know what?
How's the tribe of Maku doing out there?
You are the Big Papa Matt. Maybe just the beard is son of Maku.
It's a possibility.
And Indiana Jane joins us in the chat room as well. Hello.
What's up, Indiana?
And I see Zorro is in there. So thanks, guys, for joining in on the chat. Let us know what your thoughts are as we talk about all the subjects today so that we can make you a part of the show as well. We always start this show out with getting your geek on, what everybody's been geeking out on. Me personally, a lot of catching up on things, more binging. I am binge watching the second season of Runaways on Hulu. Really, really enjoying this season. Got a little bit more into the comic book aspect of it, where they're trying to be a team. but halfway through, they pretty much end the storyline that was going on, and now you're left in limbo going, how's it going to proceed further? But I think that they've improved even more than what it was. It was more just a normal teen drama, I guess, in the first season is what I thought. I don't know if any of you guys watched it.
Nope.
I like the first season. I haven't seen the second season yet, though.
Well, the entire season's out now, so that's why I started streaming it, because Hulu is one of those streamings where all their original content comes out 1 week at a time, and so I'm like, I'll just wait. I have other things that I can stream. So. What have you been geeking out on, Matt?
Mostly it's been a lot of Kingdom Hearts. It's also been an amazing game on the Switch called War Groove. Fantastic strategy RPG. And most recently, I'm all jumpy and nervous right now because I've been playing the new Resident Evil 2 remake, and it's fantastic.
Did you finally get that downloaded?
Oh, yeah. So what was crazy is it was just downloading like DLC content. We were there. It was actually playable at the time when you came over.
Oh, okay. Okay. It just looked like it was taking forever.
Oh, it did, but it was all the extra content that I'm sure was day one patches and junk like that.
And then halfway through it lost connection. It's like download is stopped. It's like, no.
Yeah. Oh, I'll never get to play. It's the worst. But I did, and it's been scaring me.
Everybody in the chat room's buying new cars. Jack has a Volt. He says that's what he's geeking out on. Indiana Jane says I just replaced my Bug with a Jeep. So Jack got rid of a Jeep, and Indiana Jane got a Jeep.
Coincidence.
I think it definitely is a coincidence. They're very far away from each other. So,
or are they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been geeking out on, Marley?
I've been kind of playing a lot of the Dimension 20 game. Their YouTube recordings of their tabletop game in the background while I've been working. But the other thing I have been geeking out on, it's been a very busy week for me, but my little happy spot was going to the dollar store and realizing that they have like the prettiest notebooks for $1. They are gorgeous. There's even a rocket ship one somewhere, and that made me think of Calvin and Hobbes, and if that's not a good time, I don't know what is.
And they're like regular actual...
They're regular composition notebooks, but they're they're pretty. They have colors. There's a camping one. They even have a unicorn one. Red. Yeah. There's a rocket ship one. And I'm like, you know what? Calvin and Hobbes and his rocket ship underpants. 100% happy spot right there.
And this is why we have Marley on the cast. She's just too sweet to be like, that's weird.
I will burn everything down. Yay.
And lastly, Super, what have you been geeking out on?
I caught up on the last 3 episodes of The Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, and Supergirl. I think Supergirl ranks 3rd on that list because I don't like the direction they're taking a couple characters. It just made me go, this is what I watched the show for, and you're taking out the best parts of the show. So I'm like, why do I even want to watch you anymore? But Flash, really good. Really, really like where they're going with this season of Flash so far. Hoping they don't pull the plug and, do something horrible with it. And then Legends, I love Constantine and the White Canary together doing their thing through time. I can't hate.
So now that Constantine's back in Super, is he any good? And is it enough for them? Are they actually bringing his show back?
I don't know if they're going to bring it back yet, but he is getting that I see on Twitter, on Facebook. Like, people love his character and they love him being a part of the team. So
it was a great show on NBC. So it's good to hear that he's having a good run with the big casted group as well.
Exactly. Like, he fits in. I didn't know if he was going to fit in because they already kind of had that angry guy with Rory, so I'm like, is that going to be just too much anger on the ship? But he's got his anger directed inward where, Rory kind of stomps around the ship and it just works. They're really good.
Hmm.
So
I don't know if I want to dive back into that. It's been so bad for so long.
Well, that was my
guy.
the
He's my guy.
that was one of my favorite things of DC Universe was being able to get the entire season that aired on NBC of Constantine to have it somewhere to watch. So
he could. I think that he could with the buzz that he's getting. I don't know if it'll go back on NBC, but I could see them doing a spinoff on the CW, especially if some of their freshman pilots don't end up panning out, because there's still a couple shows that haven't gotten renewals yet that if they get canceled, maybe it'll open up the door.
Well, Indiana
CW
Jane, sorry to catch you off, but Indiana Jane is saying that they made a Constantine reference in the 300th episode of Supernatural. What was that?
Calling when they did the alternate timeline with Castiel and the angel Zachariah were back. Zachariah pokes fun at Castiel and is like, all right, Constantine, let's go. We got to go check this, time anomaly out. So
at least he was called something cool. That's a good nickname.
Exactly.
Speaking of
that was the character he was based on. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Speaking of which, on the Supernatural front, we talked a little bit about the 300th episode last week, but you've been really leading with the SPN 300 hashtag online. What are some of the interactions that you've had with that? Anything fun, interesting? I know the fandom is amazing in terms of that.
Well, the fandom is amazing. And then on Twitter, the biggest thing about the Supernatural fandom is they're always speculating. Everyone takes every little thing that happens literally and analyzes it. Okay, are they going to do this with this? Are they going to do this with that? So that's what they've been doing since the 300th. It's like, okay, John came back. What did that have plot? They thought it was going to have something to do with the Michael. So now everyone's speculating on where they're going to go from the 300 because they're on a hiatus right now. And anytime there's a hiatus in Supernatural, literally the fandom just goes nuts.
Oh my gosh.
So the things that they've been talking about is like, who's going to come back for the finale? Is Rob Benedict going to be coming back as God? Is Lucifer going to be reborn? Sweet Jesus, I hope not. That's a whole other rant. I love Mark P, but God, no. And so I've been talking with people on Facebook with my good friend Dana, Carrie, some people on Twitter, and they're all going nuts.
No offense, but this sounds like it would be exhausting trying to keep up with everything that everybody's saying.
Oh, good Lord. I have spreadsheets on like fan theories on one side.
Wow,
That's awesome. That's awesome, though.
And then
because you tell us all the time that you're not even the worst of them, so that's hilarious. I'm not even the worst. I love that. Yeah,
I'll
awesome.
say something in a Facebook group like, oh, I saw blah 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 blah, and they'll be like, wait a minute, where did you see that? We need proof. So I'll have to go and like I'll drive myself nuts looking for the tweet. So now when I see something, I screenshot it. So I have a folder on my phone of just screenshots of evidence to back up what I'm saying, because they're nuts. They won't believe you unless
Indiana Jane says it's not exhausting. It's amazing. I mean, it's no different than GOT theories. And
exactly.
You know what? If that's the case, yeah. GOT theories, every second there's a new theory.
Well, and especially because with Game of Thrones, it's like you have people who've read the books, people who haven't, and just been on the shows. So there's so many theories that are just like all over the place with Game of Thrones too. So.
You know what? When there are things like this that people love, there's two types of people. There are the people where they love it and it feeds into their energy and they get to just keep going like some sort of perpetual motion machine. And then there's the people who are like, this is exhausting, but I still love it. So bring me the Red Bull. I'm staying up all night. I don't know which one I would be, but hot dang. Hats off to you. Keep rolling.
And we all get everybody has something they geek out over, something that they nerd out over, that everybody gets that fandom that they absorb into. It's just the difference is that Supernatural, a lot of people are absorbed into it together as having fun with it, versus all those other ones. It's a few here and there, or they're more debatey than anything.
Well, it's why they're on 13 seasons now. I mean, you have 14. You have to have a fan base to support that. And
they do.
Congratulations to Supernatural on 300 episodes. I don't think we kind of propped that up enough last episode. But congratulations to them, their fans, man. You guys, That is a whole group that I don't know enough about that world. I've watched the first 2 seasons, half of the second, but man, good on y'all and congratulations, man.
I have a saying, in the movie business, if you have a fan base, or if you have the fans that are nitpicking, like a poster on the wall or the details that they don't put any thought to, but if you have then you've lost your fans, right? Well, they have the saying on the Supernatural set of, no, these fans notice everything, and we still haven't lost them.
Yeah.
That's just how dedicated they are to the show,
And Indiana Jane dropping that they've already got 15 renewed, are ready to go, so been signed up for at least.
Hey,
So.
congrats for a decade and a half, isn't that?
Yeah, that's big time.
That's
big
awesome.
time.
That's awesome. Hopefully they'll go along the route of, they're on their way to it. Maybe they'll go along the route of what Simpsons originally planned for, and was to have an episode a day for a year. And you're only, what,
Not
you've had
that
another
far.
6,
maybe 2 more seasons, 3 more seasons for that.
3. How many episodes are usually in Supernatural? Each season?
24.
24, so 3 seasons. 3 more seasons to put them. Okay. Yep, not hard to hit.
There you go. Indiana Jane, officially the longest running sci-fi show on the air. And Red says SpongeBob hit 20. Holy cow, SpongeBob hit 20? That's gnarly.
Oh,
And on the SpongeBob front, Nickelodeon is making a SpongeBob spinoff of other SpongeBob characters because they want to bring all younger viewers back to Nickelodeon because they've been having like real trouble with viewership. So, yay, SpongeBob. So that's what everybody's been geeking out on. If you guys have thoughts on that stuff, make sure to hit us up at our Twitter handles, or you can go to All Nerd Podcast and talk to us there, and we'll make sure to tag everybody so they can talk back with you. And welcome Turbo Comics into the chat room as well.
Yo, what's up? How you doing, Max?
Okay. So with that, let's move into our first subject of the night, and that is the nerd fight. We are doing the most improved TV show. So if you didn't catch last week's episode, just to kind of explain where these picks came about, because all these shows I think are fantastic with what we picked, but it was how they became fantastic. These are the shows that you started watching and it took you a bit of time to get into it. You were going to just click it off and say, this is terrible. I don't want to waste my time watching this. I have too much time in my life that I can't get back if I keep watching this. But as time went on, you either went back and checked it out because your friends told you how great it was, and lo and behold, this show was fantastic. But B, you stuck with it. You stuck with the show and you found out it was a fantastic show and it became one of your fan favorites. So last week on the choices, we had Super chose Psych, Big Papa Matt chose Schitt's Creek, I chose Fear the Walking Dead, Marley chose Stargate SG-1, Masonic Vader, who's not with us tonight because he had an emergency to take care of, chose Battlestar Galactica, and our producer and the fans chose Orville. Right now in the fight, the lowest on the poll is Stargate SG-1. So if you want to go give some votes, head over to malice-corp.com, help her out, help everybody out if you want to. But what this portion is, this is the rebuttals and debate portion. So this is where we tell you why we chose these picks, why we think this show is most improved. And there may be some jabs coming from the other people on the cast of why the show's not that great or didn't improve that much. This is all in fun. This is not to make anybody cry or make anybody to be purposely trying to make anybody upset or mad. So don't take it that way. But that's what this is. This is a nerd fight. So this is us debating because whoever is lowest pick doesn't come back on the show next week and possibly the week after that, as we have a rotating cast on this show. So with that, let's start with SG-1 since you are the lowest right now, Marley. What's the reason that you picked it? What's the reason that people should be voting for it or giving it a chance to really stick with the show, go back and watch it?
Well, it's not that it was a very terrible show when it first started. I mean, it was definitely one of those shows from my childhood, but talk about a show that really found its feet after the first few episodes and even after the first season. before it really started running with it. It started with a Kurt Russell movie, which, you know, it's a fun movie. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 48%, but IMDb has a 7.1 out of 10. So I mean, you know, mixed reviews. But I mean, talk about going from Kurt Russell to, in the show, the same character being played by Richard Dean Anderson, of MacGyver fame, and just a different personality, different character, and they found his voice and his feet for that character pretty quickly. You know, they found a way to take this world that this movie had created and suddenly make it into something more substantial than just, ancient Egyptian mythology, maybe not quite mythology, maybe it's space aliens, and made it an actual plausible thing. But that took a little bit more doing than just one movie and a couple of episodes. So, yeah, by the time you're a few seasons in, you have an entire set of characters and plots and competing forces, and you have people you're rooting for and other people you're like, oh, why aren't they dead yet? It's great. It's a wonderful show. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it lasted a long time.
It did. So I mean, it's another one of those shows that definitely had one of its fan bases. But yeah, I mean, when you see the first episode, you're like,
So yeah, no.
Lots of silence on that one. Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. The chat room has turned into a love for Spader, talking about the movie Stargate.
Yeah, they just went straight to the movie, and I think the chat room's doing everything we need to, because even Indiana Jane sings worst Egyptian mythology based ever.
Yeah.
Ancient aliens bad, she sings. So
Jack Malice says SG1 is a more plausible theory of ancient aliens than ancient aliens on History Channel. Aliens. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a good show. It's really hard to the only thing that I can say against it where I don't think it's the most improved show, and here's the big thing with this fight. Who's really winning the fight? Is it the person that has the most votes or the person that has the least amount of votes? Because we said most improved, and if somebody's not voting for it, maybe they just thought it was great from the beginning and didn't need to improve.
Or maybe just nobody wants to take shots at my childhood. Or their childhood. Because let's face it, we all grew up on that show in some way or another.
My biggest gripe with the show is that it did find its voice as it went along. It figured out what it was, because it started off on one network, then in another, and it had to change along. So it did improve quite a bit in the factor of learning what it was. But my biggest problem with it is I feel that by the show having the popularity that it did, it destroyed the chance at the tentpole franchise that they could have made out of the film series. And that's where that's the little issue I have with it, is that it really ruined what we could have got from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at it that way, did it improve on the film? I don't think it did, but it was still an enjoyable show, and I binged through the entire thing because I didn't watch it when it came out.
It's almost like if the film and the show were like two separate entities that just happen to be talking about the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
It really was. And you know, I having watched both, part of it is that, you know, SG1 was something that I watched continually and regularly as a kid. Well, kid, young teenager, whatever. But just SG1 sticks with me a lot better than the movie did. The movie just kind of going back and watching it, and I'm like, no.
Now you're trying to pick a fight. Now you're just trying to pick a fight.
I liked it, but it was like it was trying to like check off all these little Hollywood boxes, and I was like, you know, oh, we have to have the romance, yes. Oh, the younger kid brother, check. I was like, what?
It's, you know, it's
the
funny.
nerd with a heart of gold who's fighting for the people that he's trying to save here. Check. Military person with tragic backstory about child and He's trying to just like go on his suicide mission. What? What? Why is this a box? Okay, fine, check. I just.
Anybody have any rebuttals?
I'm just ready to
It's
burn all
funny
this
that you
down.
say
How
that
dare you? How dare you?
the show and the TV series were different. The movie and the TV. It kind of reminds me of the same time period because they came out right about the same time as Buffy. You had the Buffy movie that was completely, its own entity, and then you had spawned the Buffy TV show, which took a completely different turn from the movie, but yet it follows the same story and the same timeline, but completely different actors. And I watched both, and I said, "Oh, Buffy's better," and I watched Buffy.
I will 100% agree that Buffy the Vampire Slayer improved greatly on the movie, the TV show.
It did. The TV show improved greatly. Absolutely, it did.
Yeah.
Hold on. What? The Buffy movie? I'm sorry.
You just like Pee-wee Herman in it. That's the only reason.
Well, first of all, he does have the best death scene ever. All right,
Yeah.
I'm just
It
gonna
was
put
good.
that
I'm
out
not
there.
saying it wasn't good.
He absolutely does.
Okay.
But the entire movie was fantastic. Oh, a beard master. No. How dare you, a bearded master? It was not horrendous.
It was good. It was good.
It's like
I
90s
enjoyed it.
classic. Like it's 90s perfection. I'm sorry. Like it's
Just like I liked
Ruru 2 brings up a really good point. Thank you for joining us in the chat room, but says TV gives way more time for character development.
Yes,
so there is truth to that.
Exactly. That's my point. I love getting into the meat of the characters. It's like only having one
Red's on our side. Donald Sutherland. I'm sorry, Super. Didn't mean to cut you off there. I'm sorry. Totally sorry.
See, Jack didn't like the Buffy show, but thought the movie was hilarious. Yeah, and it's two different veins. So, but that's not what the nerd fight's about.
No, it's not. Sorry.
Yeah, but we just had the whole chat room get triggered. How dare you?
My point was the two came out at the same time, Buffy and Stargate, and I said I'm watching Buffy. I didn't watch Stargate.
Yes.
So it didn't hook me.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, they didn't come out at the same time. The Stargate SG-1 was built as a sequel to the film.
Yes.
They both came out. I thought they both came out right around 97. Am I wrong?
The movie was 94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were built. It was built to be a sequel to the film. And that's why I said I think it ruined the potential chance at a tentpole with taking the story further, because there's fantastic novels that continue the story that they never even touched because the show was there. So that was my only gripe with it. But the next one on the voting is Battlestar Galactica. Pretty simple. What Ken said last week, what Masonic Vader said last week was it was a factor that he loved the cheesy 70s version of it. And when he went to watch the new version on Sci-Fi, he was like, what the heck? They changed all the characters. That person's not this, Starbuck's not a girl. And it weirded him out at first. And then he stuck with it and the show got amazing. And the show was amazing. Battlestar Galactica was a fantastic show. My only thing with this is he took the easy route out because, yes, anything is an improvement generally on the old cheesy 70s that didn't even make it a full season. So he took the easy pick on that. That's my only complaint. Anybody else?
No, I don't have anything to say. I like Battlestar Galactica.
It's a great show.
I can't say anything bad about it because I've always enjoyed watching it. So I'm I'll tell you later why Schitt's Creek is better, but I can't say anything bad about Battlestar.
And Rurutu brings up the point that I was making about Stargate, where it says I think it was when they did more comedy for Stargate, it started getting better, and that's exactly it. When it figured out its voice, when it figured out what it was, when it got away from the Showtime version of it, that's when the show really became itself and improved upon itself greatly. Yeah, and then everybody's saying they love Battlestar Galactica in the chat room.
Yeah, Turbo even Max out there dropping the Dwight Schrute as well. Bears beats in Battlestar
Galactica. So next up on the voting is, I think, Orville, which this is two of our people on the cast love this show. It has improved immensely. From the first season, where it was just full on Seth MacFarlane toilet humor, is what I got out of it. Although Nudie Rudy and Icy Zora will talk about the heart that was there for it. I saw the toilet humor. As it got farther and farther along, it started fleshing itself out, figuring out the storylines a little bit better. And this second season has been quite phenomenal. They've really got away from the toilet humor, but it's doing more focused storyline.
What's next?
Next after Orville was it right now is Psych. So give it to us, Super.
I just saw they announced the number 2 movie. That's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the pineapple
movie.
There. And for the Orville thing, real quick, Ruru 2 says, "How the hell does Seth MacFarlane keep getting Charlize Theron to go on his movies and shows?"
No idea. That guy, for all the toilet humor he has, he's got charisma, and you get drawn in. But anyways, yeah. So Psych, talk about a show that I didn't understand at first. I thought it was chaotic. I didn't understand the characters. I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, is he psychic? Is he not psychic? Is he, what was Dule Hill's character, and so I didn't want to watch it. And then my brother sat me down and he's like, look, I'm going to show you an episode and this is going to hook you in the series and you're going to love it from here on out. And I was like, whatever, dude. So he sat me down and we watched the episode American Duos, which is the episode that has Tim Curry in it, which to date at that time had been one of the biggest guest stars they'd had on the show. They got a lot more after that. And we watched American Duos, which is Tim Curry basically being Simon Cowell on the show, Nigel St. Nigel, and he just goes to town, and it was hilarious. So it's like, oh my God. So then I had to watch the first season again, just to get to that opening episode of season 2. And I was hooked after that. So my brother, he knows. And I was hooked after that. So I never looked back. And now, like you said, they're announcing their second movie, made for TV. It's going to be coming later this year. It's going to be a Detective Lassiter storyline, since he was not able to be in the first one due to the stroke. And it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
I'm noticing a theme with you, Super, and it's a fantastic one, but you really like shows that last a long time, because Psych did have
for 8 seasons. I do like shows. I don't like every show that lasts a long time.
But that makes sense, though.
Yeah, I like having depth to my characters.
Or even if you want to just put it kind of in a more shallow way, you like something that's going to stick around and have a lot for you to enjoy.
Absolutely.
It always blows my mind when you have people who have really become huge fans of a single movie. It's not like a movie franchise. It's like, no, it's just this 90-minute experience, and this is what they're fans of.
Well, here's
Which is not bad.
It's not bad. It's just, I'm like, but how do you live walking around wanting more and not having more? You want more. This is why you then get stuck at 4 a.m. sitting there reading fan fiction, because you're like, no, I need more. Please, more.
One thing I've noticed with both Psych and Supernatural, two big things with these shows: the cast members interact with the fans. They have fun with the fans.
It's like an interactive experience.
Well, when you go to cons, both Supernatural has amazing panels for their cons, but when Psych was on the air, San Diego Comic-Con, the Psych panel was phenomenal, and it was interacting. I mean, Timothy Elmanson created his Twitter account at the convention because they were actually making a bet about who could get more followers quicker. Somebody that already had their account, or Tim starting to create his right then and there. And they started interacting with the audience on it and everything, but they're very, very interactive with the audience and with the people that are watching them. And I think that's a strong suit for both of those shows is they embrace the fandom. It's kind of the same thing that
Preacher does.
Yeah. So
it's another good thing. But I was going to follow up to Red Meepaw's point. Short shows can break your heart. And this all directly leads back to Firefly. I refuse
Yes.
to give things a chance. Sometimes,
Yes.
ever since Firefly broke my heart and got canceled,
Yeah.
I go into shows like warily now. And then Fox did it again with Almost Human. So now I'm almost like, if you don't have at least 3 seasons guaranteed going into 4, I don't even want to watch you. Like,
Oh
Mhm.
you
man.
know,
Yeah,
you're not
no,
gonna- you're not gonna
seriously.
do
Yeah,
Rudy
there
again.
there needs to be more than a couple of afternoons binge watching.
Brown coats forever, man. Brown
Exactly.
coats
Brown
forever.
coats unite forever. And yes, I did watch Gallivant. And yes, I do sing all the songs randomly going through the stores. If I run into a jerk, I'll just start busting out Jackass in a can and
Oh.
make a fool of myself, but it's worth it.
Max, stop bringing up shows that are gone.
No. But he's okay because he said time for you to watch The Expanse. But The Expanse just hit its 3rd season because it got saved by Amazon. So,
Amazon,
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And see, I'm always like, I see these shows, and Super, you actually brought up Psych to me a while ago, and I see how long some of these seasons are and how many seasons they have, and I'm just like, I can't invest that time. I don't know.
It is hard. And I watched it live, so that helped because I was only doing it week to week.
Yeah.
I think they were on season 5 when I got hooked, and I was able to catch up.
well, it's time for me to be the jerk because I give my little argument of why it's not the most improved show, which this is really hard for these shows. These shows all are fantastic shows. The only thing I can say about Psych, why it's not most improved, is it really took the page out of some old shows from the 80s and figured out how to do its stuff with the guest stars. And when it got canceled, it decided, hey, we're going to be movies. So it's following the Matlock and Columbo theme of how to make stuff and keep itself on the air. So can it be improved if it's doing movies instead of TV? But it's such a good show. It's hard for me to say anything bad.
And I can't remember. I have to look back because I think that this was one of the few shows that they decided to end it. Like they were like, okay, we're done. We've told our story. We're going to move on.
They went Breaking Bad.
Yeah, the fan base was just that strong. They decided to go ahead and do a movie.
Yeah.
So
I thought that they just couldn't get it tailed off enough.
I can't remember. It maybe they were on the bubble and they just decided to pull the plug before they got canceled by the network. I could have gone either way with USA, to be honest.
Let's move on to the next because I have no real argument now against all these other shows because my show's only been on the air for a couple seasons. It has improved immensely. It is Fear the Walking Dead. Where it figured out that this show was struggling because the show was just a cash grab is what it looked like to people. It was just another knockoff of the most popular watched television show on AMC. So they're like, hey, let's make another show where we flash back 6 months and show what was going on before Rick woke up. The people on the show weren't enjoyable. The characters weren't that great. And it took a season for you to even really like anybody on the show. And then they would start getting rid of the people that you liked. But the biggest thing is this last season, they figured it out and they went, well, what doesn't work, we're going to get rid of. And they completely started fresh and brought in amazing characters, amazing writers, new showrunners. And this show far surpasses the parent that it came from. It's way better than The Walking Dead right now. And I love The Walking Dead. We do a weekly chat about The Walking Dead every Monday here on this same Twitch channel. But it's a far superior show. The acting is better, the characters are better, and you don't know where anything's going. And that's the big thing is there's a surprise now. There's a surprise of figuring out what's going to happen next versus we kind of know where everything's going with The Walking Dead. But it keeps you enthralled. It's just better overall. That's the only thing I can say on why it's improved. You guys can tell me why it sucks.
I just stopped watching the show. I can't really, it's just one of those things. And here's the thing, we're talking about most improved shows. The first season of Walking Dead was so poorly paced that I couldn't get through it. And I just never went back to it because I was just like, nah, they're already doing bad things with the main Walking Dead show. If this is what they want us to try to move over to, I can't be a part of that. I just never went back to it.
I understand.
I had that same mindset. That was at the point of time where The Walking Dead was really pissing me off. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to invest in another show when this one is irritating the crap out of me, because I don't want to get invested in these characters just for them to turn around and piss me off. But no, I might give it a chance.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where and I think you're right, Super, because I'm so frustrated with the main series, and West has been loving Fear. It might be worth jumping back into. I don't know.
Exactly. Because maybe I'll like these characters a little bit better than what they're doing right now. Because I honestly don't really like anyone that's left except for Carol and Daryl. Daryl and Carol. Oh, sorry. But
I didn't know they had a song. I didn't know they had a song.
Yeah, Red Pasta Spears, One Trick Pony, soap opera with makeup. They'd really changed that whole storyline, though. It's not the soap opera side of things anymore. But give us the why people should be voting for Schitt's Creek. It's in the lead. I'm not going to
by a wide margin, because Canadians love their shows, is what I'm just going to say right now, because they support the good stuff. So their season 4 just came out on Pop. It's a few episodes into it, but really, honestly, the biggest reasons why people need to be supporting this is just because it's kind of a love child between Eugene Levy and his son Dan. And what's really cool is there's a lot of their family in the show. They're making it very personal, and honestly, you watch it every season, another character gets a better season. Another character grows more. And it's one of those shows where you are already invested in those characters. You're already invested in that community and the story that's going on. And it just keeps getting better every season it comes out. And even characters, I'm like, man, I don't even like that character anymore. The new season I'm in kind of right now, 3, it's just, now I love this same character. It's the sister. And she has such a great story arc now. She's grown so much. It's hard not to enjoy every single thing about it. And Indiana Jane's right. It's absolutely redefining modern comedies. It's not filmed on a live stage or anything like that. It's just phenomenal. I can't sing its praises enough. And once again, man, there's something so charming about Christine O'Hara and Eugene Levy's kind of back and forth that it's just phenomenal. And watching them do it kind of as this real life couple going through struggles is hilarious, man. It is so phenomenal, and everybody around it is I can't sing enough about it. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. The first 3 seasons right now. You'll absolutely love everything about it.
You do have to give it time though, because I was shown it first, and I was like, eh.
Yeah, and here's the thing, but that's with every show, right? You got to give every show like 5-6 episodes, and that's just one of those things. You got to get into that kind of stuff. Usually,
what I say, if you don't have me hooked by 5 episodes, I'm probably not going to get hooked.
Well,
I've been wrong.
Well, and that's the other cool thing about Schitt's Creek, right? Is it, their standard television half-hour shows, right? So it's like 26 minutes an episode on Netflix right now, and they have good beefy seasons. They're not the 10 episodes and done kind of stuff. They're 14, 16 episodes on them. And it just gives you all this time, and we're talking about character development in the chat all this whole time with all these other shows. And that's what this has been doing better than anything out on TV right now.
Nice. Yeah, so those are the shows. Those are why you should be voting for them. Head over to malice-corp.com, put your vote in, make somebody a winner, make somebody a loser.
Me.
Not necessarily. We'll see what happens. You can vote every 10 hours over at malice-corp.com. It help other people find out about the website and have something interactive to do. Let's get into the nerd news. First and foremost, they released. Has anybody watched the Creepshow movies when they came out from the 80s? They were produced off of from Stephen King and George Romero.
No, I can honestly say I did not
remember.
Because my dad forbid it.
Okay, so they were
fantastic in our house.
Well, they were an anthology film. It was really cool. It was just little short stories of like different horror things. But the biggest thing with Creepshow derived from the EC comics, the old horror comics that ended up causing a ban, and that's where we got our whole code of conduct on what you could put in comics and everything, was because of these horror comics. And that's really where the stories came from. It was a love from Stephen King and Romero of those old comic books. And I love the old, at least the first Creepshow. The second one is a little hokey, but they have some amazing little stories, some amazing cameos inside of them. But what's going on is Greg Nicotero who any Walking Dead fan knows of. He's the makeup master for The Walking Dead, has done numbers of horror films, and now he's directing most of the Walking Dead episodes. He is putting together a TV series for Creepshow with new episodes coming out. Both King and his son Joe Hill are involved in the development of this. You have the Bird Box author writing episodes. You have Joe Lansdale, who's really known in the horror industry, writing episodes. It sounds awesome. They've let us know 3 episodes so far that are coming out. You have By the Silvery Waters of Lake Champlain by Joe Hill, so the son of Stephen King. Little Gail London and her friend Joel Quarrel are out on a cold and lonely morning at the end of summer when they make the find of the century, a dead plesiosaur the size of a 2-ton truck, washed up on the sand. With the fog swirling about them, they make their plans, fight to defend their discovery, and face for the first time the enormity of mortality itself, all unaware of what else might be out there. Plesiosaur? Sounds right. Might be out there in the Silverwater Lake of Lake Champlain. That's one. You've got the House of the Head by Josh Mallerman of Bird Box, author. Young Elvie May witnesses a murder haunting in the elaborate dollhouse in her bedroom. She worries greatly for the figurines within, and while the haunting never spills out into her house, never touches her actual family, the macabre drama her toys are involved in will scar her for life.
Shoot, that would scar me for life. Just
how does that sound, though? I mean,
yeah, creepy.
It does sound creepy.
Delightfully creepy, but like creepy.
It sounds like a mind game, and I like mind games.
Yeah, I'm all over that, man. That's it's one of those things. I actually tried to start watching a show. It's a Hispanic Netflix show called Dioblera, and it's pretty good. It's got some good creep factor, and it's reminding me of Constantine a little bit with Keanu, but this sounds way better and way creepier. So.
Yeah. And these are just one. This is your anthology. This is your Twilight Zone type of stuff that they're doing with this. The Companion by Joe Lansdale. 13-year-old Harold decides to explore the long abandoned farm of the late Raymond Brenner and find that he's got a new companion, a murderous, indestructible scarecrow.
Ooh.
Yeah. and what's cool about this though is it's just straight horror, right? It's not some of the sci-fi stuff that Black Mirror did, which was phenomenal, but it's taking a different route. So that sounds great.
That does. And I like this better than, like you said, having a reboot of the Twilight Zone. You know, I like the fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it was on Shudder. Yeah, Max at Turbo Comics. I 100% agree. Everybody needs to have Shudder. I have it. It's phenomenal. I'm a big fan.
I'll have to get it. And
they actually just came out before this cast that I noticed. There is your creep for because the creep the creep was who was basically your host of the shows. That's your creep for this series. Nicotero, I'm assuming designed this. So yeah, I'm excited. They just finished filming their they closed the filming finished on their very first episode for this series, so it's all coming, and it's going to be on the Shudder Network. So, what do you guys? You sound interesting? Is it something you would check out, Marley? I know you hate horror.
We've all just said we're interested the whole time you were talking.
I maybe if I had like a cat to cuddle and a big fluffy, hey look, wait, fluffy blanket, cat. Yeah, I'm ready to watch it.
Yeah. Indiana Jane says he looks like the Crypt Keeper, which I believe the Crypt Keeper was designed off of the Creep. Maybe Max would know more about that in the Turbo Comics. So yeah.
It honestly it sounds really fun. Horror and I are one of those things where it's like I either have to be like ready to be scared or it's not happening. So yeah, if I was in a spot where I'm like, yeah, okay, time to be scared for a few days. One of my first real experiences with the horror genre was when Blair Witch Project came out on video, and my friend, I was over at her house for a sleepover, and in her creepy basement, in her creepy old house, in the woods, and she had been watching it, and she was halfway through, and decided that, oh, hey, let's just put it in and we'll finish the movie from where I left off. So I'm sitting in this movie like with zero context in the middle of the night watching it, and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. All the nope. So
Well,
yeah,
maybe we
that,
should
that was
check
my
this out.
first real experience with the horror genre. So I have kind of been scarred since then.
I don't know
Slowly.
how scary this will be, but it sounds like they got some really interesting stories coming for it. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll watch it, find out the good episodes, and tell you which ones to watch, so that you're
Okay.
not too terrified.
I mean, I loved The Haunting of Hill House, but it took me like episode 2 is when I really started like marathoning it.
So there you go, Max. Crypt Keeper does predate Creepshow. So
Really? Okay, cool.
I didn't know that. And then Red Meatpaw says Prince Philip looks like the Crypt Keeper now.
I just saw that when you're reading it. That's hilarious.
I know. That's really funny. It's just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so moving on to our next nerd news topic. This was the one that Marley really wanted to focus in on, and it was saying goodbye to a friend. The Opportunity Mars rover. They lost contact with it back in June of 2018, and they finally have closed all the entire mission with it. It was 15 years that this rover was on Mars, driving around, bringing us pictures, giving us news and information of how the dust clouds worked, how how dirt worked with the formation of the storms that happen on Mars. This just another step towards potentially having us people living on Mars. But it was kind of heartbreaking because the very last transmission that was received from it, they let it be known. It had a dust storm coming towards it. It couldn't get out of the dust storm to recharge its cells from the sun. And so the last message received from the Mars rover was batteries getting low and it's getting dark. Kind of
Why are you trying to bring the show down, bro? Why are you trying to bring the show down?
Kind of tearful when you think about a robot, but it's yeah. What you said there was some pretty touching things out there said about it, Marley, like XK's one of the comic books.
XKCD.
Mhm.
XKCD did a cute little comic commemorating it. Just about how it shared with us these first moments with 7 billion friends, and it's like, yeah. When you sit and you think about it, like, where were we 15 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And this thing was just starting to roam around on the surface of Mars. Like 14 years ago was a long time. Huge difference for me between where I am now and where I was then. I mean, it's just like, wow. This thing has been on a planet that is not this planet for a little bit less than half of my life.
Wow.
That's just,
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah. So, I mean, this really going into the sciences in high school and college and seeing this thing being talked about here and there, it's been a constant, and now it's gone.
Yeah, in 15, it wasn't planned to last 15 years. That's the amazing thing about
No,
this.
it was only supposed to be a 90-day mission. 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months. Talk about being able to stick with a resolution. Like,
Yeah.
if this thing was like saying, oh, I'm going to spend 3 months going to the gym, it'd been like 15 years ago it went to the gym for the first time.
Yeah.
What the heck? I can't stick with anything for that long.
I love the what Popular Science said on their report about it. It says the Opportunity drove farther than any rover in history, trekked for longer than any other surface mission. It had jeans and jelly bracelets. It outlived Lost. It outlived Brad and Jen and Bradgelina.
Yeah.
It had the social media savvy of its cousin Curiosity. But Opportunity has done its duty with quiet dignity for far longer than we could have hoped. It's a really cool story when you go dive deeper into it and see all the stuff that that we got from Curiosity, and this really is the rover that's the forefront that could, like they said, have people living on Mars at some point. You know,
It outlived Pogs.
Pogs. Go Turbo.
It didn't outlive The Simpsons, true. But I mean, like, talking about things that lasted a long time, we have Supernatural here that just signed on for its 15th series. There we go. Supernatural started, guess what?
That's
Around the same time as this thing. Uh-huh. So, I mean, talk about...
Flip phones were still a thing when Supernatural started.
Flip phones were still a thing. Snake on your phone was still a thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody had a Nokia.
Yeah, everybody had a Nokia, and you were lucky if color was a thing.
To fade out.
And buying phone cases, and it was like, no, literally the case is part of your phone. It's not just this thing you put around the phone. Like, I mean, NASA, with our crappy cell phone technology, NASA was building this thing, and it lasted. This is the Nokia of rovers.
See, this is proof that cell phones don't need to be rebought every 2 years, and
exactly. Just send it to Mars. It'll last 15 years.
I do like, though, that the chat rooms turned it around to do a spin on Gilligan's Island, which is what I first thought of too with the 90 days, and Red Meepaw's just tearing it apart. It's like they go on this 3-hour tour, but they're in evening gowns and they're loaded down with like trunks and trunks of things, and who does that when you're going on a 3? So anyways.
And our friends at Turbo Comics are saying that their Tamagotchi lasted longer than the Mars rover. Yeah, well, you know what? Your Tamagotchi wasn't walking through sandstorms.
How did you remember to feed the Tamagotchi for 15 years?
Why would you remember feeding a Tamagotchi?
A week. We just wanted to do a little, give you the news in terms of the Mars rover. If you didn't see it, it's a pretty big story. So,
go say goodbye to a part of the last 2 decades.
Yeah, and go look it up. There's a lot of neat things that it was able to give us in terms of knowledge and everything. The last news story that we had for this week, this was for the Big Papa Matt, because I know he's a huge Nintendo fan, so I wanted to get his reactions and his thoughts about this. But Nintendo Direct happened this week, and they announced new installments for Super Mario Maker, the remastered edition of Link's Awakening that's going to be coming out on Switch, and a brand new action game called Astral Chain.
So no one cares about Astral Chain right now, but it looks awesome. Just saying, you got Platinum Games doing it. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm sure the creators of Bayonetta, I mean, it's going to be great. I'm sure. The big things, though, is we are getting a whole slew of Final Fantasies announced, and Final Fantasy IX just dropped on the Switch yesterday, so that's phenomenal. Or right after the cast, so on Wednesday, actually, it dropped. Final Fantasy VII coming in March for the Switch as well, which is going to be awesome. But the new Link's Awakening remake is honestly one of the better Link's Adventures, but it was only on the Game Boy for so many years. So it's one of those things. It's coming. It's on its way. It's getting a remaster. It's getting a new look. And the thing is so many more people are going to be able to play it. That wasn't a very accessible game for very long. So it's one of the things where it's going to be really nice to have. And yes, Indiana Jane and so many others, millions of others actually are really sad that we did not get an update for Animal Crossing, because everybody's waiting on a release date for that. And honestly, that's besides the Link's Awakening stuff and the new Astral Chain obviously coming. Super Mario Maker 2 was the other big one. Honestly, it's Super Mario Maker, the Mario Maker stuff has been phenomenal. It's actually one of some of the biggest streamed things on Twitch right now are not only the Mario Maker videos that streamers are using and doing, but also the Mario hacks. And what's really cool about that with the ROM hacks and now Mario Maker 2 coming, this is just a whole new world of kind of peer-to-peer sharing with Mario games. And it's a fantastic platform. And honestly, it's some of the funnest stuff you can watch on any kind of gaming streams. So I highly recommend it. definitely recommend checking it out. And Max, one day you'll get the Ruby weapon. I promise. He's not impossible to beat. You'll get him. And in March, he's coming out on the Switch, so you can take him on the go and play on the go for you right there too. So, and Ruru, it's okay. Final Fantasy 16 one day. We got Kingdom Hearts 3, so anything is possible. Final Fantasy 16 as well.
Interesting. Did you feel let down that there was nothing nothing extra for Animal Crossing or Metroid?
Well, Animal Crossing, and we got Metroid. Just kind of, nothing big for Metroid. Obviously, more than it's going to be delayed. So it's just one of those things where you're going to. I'm a little worried about Animal Crossing, honestly, but I do think they're just saving it for March's Nintendo Direct because we got so much here. March needs something really big because April and May are going to lead into E3. So they can't really do anything big in April, May. So I think they're saving Animal Crossing for March, announcing that it's coming in April, giving us something really big before E3 like that. So I still have my fingers crossed for Animal Crossing, but at the same time, I was really hoping we'd at least get a release date. And the fact that we didn't means it could get pushed back till after summer, but I don't know why they would do that because you have the new Pokemon game coming out as well this year. So it wouldn't make sense to have the Animal Crossing stuff hit the same time that the Pokemon game's going to kind of come out later into the year as well. It just doesn't seem like Nintendo to do something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that was the gist. I just wanted to get kind of, because that's kind of where everybody was at with it, was they liked what was shown, but the people were really hoping for those two specific properties to give us more. So you just think they're going to hold it for E3 then?
No, they won't hold Animal Crossing for E3. Animal Crossing should be out well before E3. It'll be one of the bigger games at E3 to play for probably people, but I think it'll be before E3.
All right.
We've just heard too much about it coming in the end of first quarter or early second quarter for them to not announce a pushback. Because that's the thing with Nintendo's Directs. They actually have the CEO of the company now coming out and talking to fans. And that's something that is so unique to what Nintendo's doing right now compared to like PlayStation and Xbox, where you actually have a company director like that coming out and talking to fans through YouTube and giving us updates on that kind of stuff. And with Nintendo's plethora of just amazing IPs, that's very unique and really encouraging that there's still a company out there that wants to have that direct contact with their fans, because things like Blizzard, shout out to Red and Super in the chat room right now, there's a lot of great companies that are losing sight of that, and it's a bummer, unfortunately. So it's glad. I'm really happy that Nintendo still does this.
Nice. Yeah, and then did we talk about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3?
Yeah, that's going to be an exclusive, but, nothing crazy that anybody really needs to go super nuts about. But honestly, it's cool that a Marvel Alliance game is coming back and that it's going to be an exclusive on a Switch. So being able to take all your favorite Marvel characters on the road, it's kind of cool, but not nearly as big as some of the other stuff.
Both online and locally with your friends. So that's kind of, and then they have the roster confirmed to include Iron Fist, Captain Marvel, and the Defender.
Man, who cares about all that?
You don't care about that stuff?
Nah, Link. You want Link. You want Mario Maker. You want the Final Fantasy games. And after that, we're just waiting on, some great Animal Crossing.
All those Marvel fans, remember Big Papa Matt. He said nobody cares.
Well, they know I'm lying.
Turbo's Iron Fist. Max says Marvel Ultimate Alliance rules.
Yeah, but he just drops the needs more Darkhawk. So it's one of those things, right? So, and here's the thing: the 3 is coming right. It's going to be right on the heels of the release of Captain Marvel. So it's going to be more of a movie thing than an actual great game. I fear, and that's why I'm not super looking forward to it, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's what we got for the show. We sped through the nerd news at the end there. We talked quite a bit on the nerd fight. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And we'll talk about where you can follow everybody here in a second. If you guys are enjoying these shows, if you like what we're doing here, as always, please head over to the website, malice-corp.com. That's the hub for all of our stuff, all of our podcasts. This isn't the only podcast that the network does. We have many things, especially here with the Big Papa Matt. He's got 3 other shows that I'm sure he's going to tell you about. We also have our Smack Talk show, which is our wrestling show. We have TV Talks, which is our reaction show to television episodes. A lot of different stuff. Malice-corp.com. If you guys want to support us, 2 great things that you can do. Hit the subscribe button above, especially if you have Twitch Prime. You get a 30-day free subscription to give to a channel. If you want to support us with that, we would greatly appreciate it. Or if you're heading over to Amazon to purchase something, make sure you go to Malice-Corp first, click on the Amazon link, and then go purchase whatever you're going to purchase there. We get a little bit of help back from that. You still get the item you're looking for, and we greatly appreciate it. Yeah, so that's the big thing. And then if you want to let other people know about us and you want to come and join in on the conversation every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in the chat, let others know about us. Let them know about the channel. If you're listening anywhere else, make sure to review and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's talk about where we can follow everybody outside of the show. Marley, where can people follow you when you're not here?
Oh, they can follow me on Twitter at MarleyCricket. It's kind of slow. Sometimes I just put out random thoughts, but you know what? Sometimes they're fun. Sometimes they're important. Sometimes they're life lessons learned a little too late. Change the toilet paper roll because you're probably going to be the person you mess over on that one. Yeah.
Super. Where can people follow you?
Follow me on Twitter at SuperHoovianNut. I always love interacting with people, new people, friendly people. And also on Instagram at SuperHoovianFreak.
Nice. And Big Papa Matt.
Yeah, so you can follow me, Big Papa Matt, on Twitter and Instagram. You can also check out my amazing other casts, Comics for All, which Marley is on, as well as Turbo Comics in the chat room there. So you can catch some fantastic comic book folks there. Even though I just trashed, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I do love me some comic books and everything about them as well. Absolutely, Indiana Jane Schitt's Creek will definitely win, and let me know all about that as you go and vote for it on mouse-corp.com. As the most improved show, but also check out Nerd Mosh Pit as well as Quest for Movies on Twitter. Quest for 100 and Nerd Mosh Pit are fantastic shows as well. But new episodes of all of those to come shortly for you.
Nice. And there's a new episode of Comics for All right now out there that came out last week. So go check it out.
Yep.
Spotify, Stitcher, the whole shebang. Listen to it everywhere. Click the reviews and subscribe to it.
It's lots of fun. You should definitely check it.
It's a great cast. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me at Mest_MaliceCorp or on Instagram at Mest5150. If you guys want to follow this podcast specifically, 2 places you can head out. Twitter at All Nerd Podcast, or come join us on Facebook at All Things Nerd Podcast in the groups area. Biggest one, if you have Discord, look up Malice Corp and come join us on Discord, where you can talk with us anytime about all nerd things. There's a channel for every single podcast on there to talk about whatever tickles your geeky fancy. So, yeah, that's it for the show today. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. You guys keep nerding on, and we will see you next Friday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.